Reason like 228 why I didn't like my last workplace: transphobic coworkers. Now, I'm not trans myself, I'm cis, but I am pansexual, so I don't care for people who put down the trans people in our community. And two particular coworkers pissed me off in this regard. One was just a teacher's assistant, and we had a kid whose current identity I don't remember actually. This is always the part that I always mess up using proper terminology for. Because I think at one point they identified as a trans man, and then I think they're just non-binary now, but I know a lot of non-binary people do consider themselves trans. Anyway, this trans male student was constantly dead named. And the thing is, this kid had their name officially changed, but other students saw what the transphobic TA had on their roll call sheet and put their previous legal dead name on there, and would not stop referring to the student by their dead name, regardless of how many times that student kept correcting them. And that TA did not stop until another student threatened to report her to somebody. That TA now works at a local private Christian school. The other transphobic person was a teacher, who still works at this place, mind you. And they have a very positive personality. I've even appreciated their kindness sometimes. They gave me a place to eat lunch when I was just a TA myself, because it was during a time where everybody else had already taken their lunch and there wasn't really anywhere that I could eat lunch because all the rooms were occupied, including the staff lounge, which was full of people. So I was eating like in the area where the elevator is, and that teacher offered me their office to have lunch in, and they're nice, so they were trying to get to know me, and they definitely started when I mentioned that I had a girlfriend at the time, very clearly in a romantic sense, not a platonic way. It makes sense, but that trans student I mentioned earlier, they actually wrote an open letter to us about the transphobia at the school. They gave that letter to a teacher they trusted. That coworker trusted me, so they brought it to me and we went together to the counselor with it in hopes of getting some sort of training arranged so this wouldn't happen anymore. As far as I know, it never happened. If it has happened, it was after I left. I'm kind of worried that it just sort of fell by the wayside, hopefully without any fault of the counselor, because the counselor was constantly trying to help everyone, staff and students, but that counselor was definitely friends with some of the less savory coworkers I had. So I'm hoping it's just that they brought it to their supervisors and the supervisors didn't do anything about it, and not that they personally didn't care about it, so they just, decided to placate us with, okay, I'm going to talk to somebody about training. And then they were like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. In that letter, that student mentioned that teacher loved bombing the crap out of kids, which totally makes sense with their personality. This is a teacher, by the way, who has said, literally word for word, I put the fun in fundamentalist Christian. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the camera like Jim from The Office, like, get me out of here. This teacher also dead named a middle school kid. I don't know who this kid is, but they were a trans kid. And that teacher was helping to watch lunch and was reprimanding that kid for something, I don't know, throwing food or whatever. But they dead named them. And the child told the teacher, I go by this, please call me this. And that teacher, who was frustrated, went to the counselor that I mentioned earlier and said, when are they going to get over this phase? And it just made my blood boil. Like, yes, for some kids it's a phase, but not for everybody. I'm not trans, but I'm pan. And I've known about that since I was like 9. I'm 31 now. It's not a phase. Those are the major incidents, but even just like, administration rolling their eyes at staff meetings when they're like, oh, and by the way, we have enough non-binary trans kids on campus that we have to have a gender-neutral bathroom now, which our school building was a repurposed medical building where all the bathrooms were like those single rooms with one toilet inside. So it's like it freaking matters, like, what gender is on the bathroom door anyway. I don't know the personal feelings of the coworkers at my new workplace. It's all online, so it's not like I get to interact with them in that capacity anyway. The first time I met one of my coworkers, they did compliment my pride flag. I have it in the background, even though my background is blurred, you can still see the colors. For my high school kids that I used to work with, that was more of a signal of, hey, I'm a safe person to talk to about this if you need to. I work with younger kids now, so I don't really see it being as prevalent, but you never know. One of my closest friends found out that they were queer when they were in 3rd grade, so. But yeah, workplace transphobia is just